Attention, DC! The entire universe! Acknowledge me!
Ciao ragazzi, we are back and it's been a minute. The surroundings are different here. I hope everyone's been doing well. How's everyone's summer doing so far? It's been an interesting one to say the least for me. We are in our new digs in another state. We are in the Midwest now, so I hope everyone's having a good thing. Anthony, good to see you, my friend. Good to see you. How you been this summer, Anthony? I hope you've been well, my friend. I'm the comeback kid. We're back. We are back streaming once again. Hopefully the audio is good. You know, when you're shifting houses and stuff like that, going to different locations, the wiring can get screwy, but hopefully everything's all good on this end. Hope everyone's doing well tonight. Give a shout out tonight. Let me know where you're at. What are you drinking tonight? Oh, yeah. Hello, hello, hello. And for those who are joining us on Twitch, no Schalke America tonight. It's just going to be all Serie A tonight. We'll do Schalke America on Monday night. Jack is back, and as am I. The podcast will be back there. But doing Serie A just tonight. And what are we talking about tonight? Anthony, yeah, me and my family and I were doing well. Hope you're doing well, my friend, too. Let's get into the rundown for tonight. As I mentioned, we're only talking Serie A tonight, and so we're going to talk about a little bit of small clubs and some chaos. Gasperini, he's a new job now, and is he a little too cocky? We'll talk about that. Cesc Fabregas has some golden advice that I think is every young player, every player should listen to. If you haven't heard it, we'll share that. And then the best goalie stays in Serie A. Maybe you know who I'm talking about, maybe you don't. And then we'll go team by team review, and I want to give a shout out to a creator once we get to that stage who created this wonderful spreadsheet. Kind of breaks down all the moves that happen. You don't have to go to Transfer Market. You can just go right here, and we'll share the link afterwards because I want to give this creator some love. Tare has done a decent job so far for Milan. Yeah. We'll see how that goes with Cortomuso. Oh, but yeah, let's get into it tonight. Got a lot to get into. We're going to be 30 minutes. We're going to be an hour, 2 hours. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. But let's kick things off with a little fun. Fun for me. I don't know about for anybody else. Are any of these players actually good? We're going to start off, of course, with Uncle Sharma's boy, Correa. Do we rate Correa? Is he a good player? Was he a good player at any point? How about Cholito Simeone? Is he a good player? Noah Okafor. What about him? Do you rate him as a player? Who's the best of this bunch here? And Arkadiusz Milik. 4 players. 4 polarizing players, to say the least. Milik, Okafor, Simeone, and Correa. So my question to you is, of the 4, who is the best? And then, if you had to rate them best to worst, who would you do? I know Uncle Sharma's going to pick Correa as number 1, right? Anthony's probably picking Okafor number 1. You know? It's interesting. Correa, I'll give you my take. Correa, he's a Milan killer, for sure. Right? He had his moments. Not necessarily for Inter, but he had his moments where at times he's a brilliant player, but for the most part he's a frustrating player. Not bad. Anthony says Simeone is the best of the four. Cholito, yeah, he's never really had his fair shake, right? I think Correa has probably had more of a fair shake than Simeone has. Simeone, what did he have, like 15 goals for Hellas before he went to Napoli? I mean, he reminds me a lot of Borriello. Borriello, great goal scorer. Didn't get the love that he wanted. He obviously joined Milan, didn't do much there. But, oh, Ali, good to see you, my friend. All right, Chikna says Milik, Simeone, Correa, Okafor. That's not a bad shout. That's pretty accurate, I would say. Simeone, I think, is a really good goal scorer. Never got his fair share. Let's see if this season he gets more of a shakeup. He stays with Napoli. We'll see. Milik has had more good seasons at Ajax, Napoli. Yeah, I mean, it's very true. Okafor, I think Okafor is an interesting one. If you just look at him purely from the Milan perspective, it's a flop. It's a flop, right? But if you look what he did with Salzburg, I mean, pretty damn impressive. He was pretty good. That year that they were beating everybody, obviously they had, all kinds of players on the team, including one Haaland. But Okafor, really good player at Salzburg. Never really developed in Milan, whether it's how they put him in the position, didn't give him his opportunities. He had glimpses here and there, not as many glimpses as Joaquin Correa. Very disappointed to see what Okafor did or didn't do. Anthony says Simeone, Milik, Correa, Okafor. I think everyone's saying Okafor is number 4. I would have to agree with this. And Arkadiusz Milik, as Chikna says, he's had a lot of good seasons in many clubs. He's injury prone. He's probably the most injury prone of all 4 players combined. That's saying something because all the guys have been injured, but Milik has had serious injuries. But when he's played, he played fairly well for the most part. He's been a serviceable backup. Never lived up to the heights of the next Lewandowski, like everyone was at least Polish fans were hoping, and the fans of the clubs that he played with. But I think he had the best touch out of anybody. Says Salzburg plays in the Austrian league, so can't really give Okafor enough credit. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think Okafor did well in the Champions League games for Salzburg, so he can get some credit for that. But overall, not nearly as impressive as Correa, who wasn't impressive at all. And hopefully I'm not echoing tonight. I've been trying to work out the echoing issues. But I digress. Back to the 4. I mean, for me, Arkadiusz Milik's probably number 1 just on his ability, is what he's done. And he's been injury plagued. I think Simeone has got to be number 2. Right there, 1B, right? Good goal scorer, just never got his fair shake. I think if he's never got a fair shake at a big club. If he had more consistent time at a big club, I think we'd be impressed with him. But Correa probably 3, and that's by default because Okafor was so bad. So yeah, I think everyone's shout outs so far are correct. No one's wrong. I think you say Simeone or Milik, you're probably fine. As long as you pick Okafor last and Correa 3rd, you're probably good. Ollie says, I'm betting on a Noah bounce back. He was decent the first year, but also came back last season so fat. After the Conte regime and now with Max, I can see him bounce back next season. Yeah, if anyone can do it, it's probably Max Allegri. And if anyone can ruin him, it's probably Max Allegri. But what are we talking about? I just got off work. But this is all we're talking about. I just wanted to get this 4 players out of the way. I thought it'd be funny just to talk about these guys. Each of the 4 clubs represented here, or 4 players represented who had these players on our club. They've been a sore subject for all those clubs involved. So, but Okafor probably takes the bait out of all of that. Maybe that's just bias for us who follow Milan and Salzburg, maybe. I digress. All right, let's move on here. Let's get into some more news here. Obviously, back in February, former Chievo Verona administrator Luca Campadelli indicted for fraudulent accounting plus valenza. Well, the article from La Presse Italia says the Verona prosecutor's office has requested the indictment of Luca Campadelli for the bankruptcy of Chievo Verona, where he served as sole administrator. The club is currently in liquidation. The request follows investigations conducted by financial police of Verona's provincial command into the football club Chievo Verona, formerly known as Associazione Calcio Paluani Chievo, and later, you see their name. According to the investigation, Capadelli allegedly used a fraudulent mechanism to present a misleading positive financial situation for Chievo. This concealed the club's financial distress and asset depletion, allowing it to register for league competitions despite lacking the necessary financial requirements. The prosecutor's office, led by Rafael Tito, also examined fictitious player transfers. What other team has said fictitious players and use plusvalenza? I lost my train of thought there. Scroll there. Fictitious player transfers to Cesena and Carpi, which were conducted at prices not aligned with the actual market values. Again, where have we heard that? In essence, players were transferred only on paper without ever physically moving between teams, enabling Chievo to record significant capital gains of over 35 million euros in its financial statements. Anthony knows what I'm talking about. The financial scheme also involved intra-group transactions, particularly the artificial revaluation and transfer of the Chievo brand, as well as the sale of assets, including the Botasilio, the sports center. So the real question of all this, that's right, Anthony. The real question about all this, because this all happened in February. This person on Reddit, user Alala, the question is, can we talk about the epidemic of small clubs going bankrupt? When it happened to Fiorentina and Parma the first time, nothing really happened. The bankruptcies of dozens, hundreds of smaller clubs didn't bring any changes. Now there's some nervous hand-wringing over Sampdoria and Brescia, but I have no faith that anything will change. Can anything really be done anyway? Player salaries are too high, and nearly every club is in debt. Every team is in the English second division would be declared insolvent by Italian regulations. The economics of of football just seem to be entirely broken. So it's a question about these small clubs and what can be done, because it does seem an epidemic of them going bankrupt. Rino, my man, how are we doing, my man? I hope you've had a good summer, sir. But it's a good question. It's not only small clubs. I mean, thank you, Rino. Hate to say Juventus, but Juventus has also been doing this, and other clubs have done this in the past. It's not just a small club epidemic, but it's happened a lot with the small clubs, and some have gotten in trouble for it, some have not. It's a matter of lack of money. It's, first of all, the big wigs at the FIGC need to be changed out. It's just too much old school there, too much underhandedness under the tables, right? With stuff that secrecy, BS, trying to make a little money, but a lot of it has to do with lack of money coming to them. There's no Italian football in general does not get the revenue it needs. There's a share somewhat equal amongst the teams in Serie A at least, but how great is it? You know, it's a bigger problem overall. The money helps, right? Maybe that's why the English clubs in the second division don't get hammered. A little bit more relaxed there, a lot on the line. It's many things, but I think we start doing the plusvalenza and you start inflating players' worth, start faking transfers and all this and that. It's a bad look. And what does Gravina say about all this? Nothing. Just like he says about racism, nothing. Think about other problems like sharing streams across the wave and sharing content from Serie A. Marshall says, just joined in. How bad did Milan look this morning? I didn't actually see him. I'm curious. Anthony, Ali, how did Milan do? I missed it. I have to go back and look at it. FIGC top brass needs to get the fuck out. Yes, they do. That's number one. That's number one in Serie A. Reno says, Gravina's a loser. And Anthony says, Gravina's got to go. New ideas need to be brought up. Yeah. There are some teams that are willing to try to make those changes. A good handful of clubs in Serie A, some of the bigger ones. And there's some smaller ones that are trying to do things the right way. Obviously, there's epidemic of owners not being able to keep hold of their team and selling their clubs. We've seen an influx of American owners all of a sudden in Italian football. You know, not just in the league in Serie A, but Serie B, Serie C, Serie D, and so on. It's the thing about money, and not owning your own stadium hurts. Sure, a lot of teams that do own their own stadiums are also hurting, but you got to start somewhere. I think both Milanese clubs would do far better if they owned their stadium, and I know they're trying to work on something like that. But it's a difficult question, and I don't know what can be done. Oh, Marshall says awful. So yeah, what do you guys thought in the chat? I feel like I'm talking a lot here, even though this is a stream. But what are your guys' thoughts on what can we do to stop this epidemic? Not only small clubs going bankrupt, but all this underhandedness. This obviously the FIGC is, I think we all agree upon that needs to change. Everyone at the top brass, Gravina, they all gotta go. But what else can be done to help some of these smaller clubs when they do get down, not go bankrupt? We had the Brescia, we had Sampdoria, Salernitana. Those clubs, they're flirting with not only relegation but insolvency. It's a huge issue. Yeah, this says didn't hear it, but he heard it didn't play that bad, being that we were not able to play with most of our new signings. Okay, I'm curious. I'll have to watch the highlights tonight. Maybe I'll watch it tonight. We'll see. Well, not on the stream. I don't want to get kicked off for my piracy first night back, right? But it's an interesting question. I think it's certainly an interesting dilemma. There is no right answer. I know someone in the Reddit chat asked about Luca Campadelli and says, when are Juventus hiring him? I didn't say it. It wasn't me. It was just on Reddit. So Anthony or Reno, don't shoot the messenger. And other comments I've read was as long as Gravina runs the Italian FA, the idea that they spend time pursuing anything else but for corruption or fraud will be laughable. Yeah, they don't care about that stuff. Not one bit. What else? Yeah, so it's an interesting dilemma. I don't know how you solve it. It's a really big issue, and you can't do this Plus Valenza crap. You can't fake stuff. Yes, you want money. You're trying to stop yourself from going bankrupt, but there's got to be another way. I don't know what that way is. I don't have the answer. Maybe you can try to do sponsorships. A lot of smaller clubs have tried to do these outrageous sponsorships. And I say outrageous, I mean out of the box thinking, not your normal sponsorships, whether it's American sponsorships or whatever, but find ways to get more money in. There is a small, I want to say Austrian league club. They got like 47 sponsors on their jersey. It's ugly, but it's pretty funny, and you can see why they do it, because they don't have any money. They're trying to figure out ways to get money back. So hey, how do they do it in England? They get a lot more money in England. TV revenue is huge there for sure. That's a big help there. Money doesn't always solve everything, but I think if Italian football had the money coming in that English football does, teams would be better off. Not good, but better off. Again, it's all about how you manage the money. And I'm not confident that the people in charge, administrators of a lot of these teams, are either good, honest, or know what the hell they're doing. Marketing for Calcio needs to improve, and TV revenue needs to increase. Agreed. Not for the low leagues. How do clubs in lower leagues do it? That's a good question. I honestly don't know. There's a lot of sponsorship because everyone wants to get into English football, because there is that golden duck at the end of the tunnel that they're hoping they can get. We're seeing Wrexham. We're getting very close to that golden egg now, and you've seen a lot of investors buying into there because they think if they can run the clubs right, they can get them. And there is a big pot of money at the end of the rainbow. Where it's just Italian football, there is no money at the end of the rainbow. It's just, yeah, you'll be known, maybe a big club. We'll see what Como does. Can they become a household name? But in the long run, does it do anything? I don't know. Reno, I'm there. Let me know. Give me advance notice, and I'm there, Reno. I'm there for you. I'm back. Speaking of back. Giampiero Gasperini is back, not on the market, but he's back with the club now. He's left Atalanta, which was a shock move for me, and maybe not so much, right? It's like I talked about at the end of last year, and it's like he's done everything he could for Atalanta, turned into a household name, not only in Italy but in Europe. He's revolutionized Italian football. His brand of football that he brought it's been great. The scouting with Atalanta used to be Udinese, who's been known for their scouting, and now it's Atalanta known for how they're scouting, this plug and play, their systems. Gasperini was at the head of all of that. He wasn't he doesn't get full responsibility, right? You know, the scouting department, the sporting director, all of them get credit as well. But Gasperini had a big hand in that. And now he's off to AS Roma. And the question is he too cocky now? Like, he had it good. He had it good at Atalanta. Goes to Roma. And this is what I mean by cocky. They won 14-0 in a friendly against Trastevere. And what does he say after a 14-0 win? We're behind schedule. I expect a speed up in the transfer market. In my word, yes, a bit, but the club has shown great willingness. Is Gasperini too cocky? Has he earned the right to be cocky? He's talking almost like he's Antonio Conte. If I didn't know it was, if you covered up the quote and just read the actual soundbite, I would have thought it was Antonio Conte. That's something you expect from Antonio Conte. Not Gasperini. You've never really heard that of Gasperini. Then again, he's never had the money before. So it's curious how this will work. Will he try to do things the Atalanta way, which obviously already doesn't seem like he is, because he wants money. And again, ideally, every manager has money to play with. If you don't have, you make do with what you got. But Roma has more money than Atalanta. So he wants some reinforcements. He wants his players, his style of players. I'm sure he can do really well with Dybala and some of these other studs at Roma, but for the most part, he doesn't have all his players there, and he needs some help. Go back to Cows. Marsh says Italy is so corrupt. We gotta hope they love football more than scamming money at some point. Yeah, I don't know if they're there yet. That's the thing. I don't know if they're there yet. UEFA even said that San Siro is not fit to host the Euros in 2032. Yeah, they said that before too, and then they got the certain upgrades, and then it was all good. But yeah, it's true. Ali says the government should be helping clubs acquire their money-making assets. They should, instead of trying to line their pockets with money. Maybe they did host them at a 2027 as well. That's a good question. I don't know. I know they did it recently, and they were in what, finals of 3 years ago. They hosted the finals, I want to say. But yeah, it's always like, you gotta upgrade. That's why Bergamo they had to do all those upgrades, because Atalanta couldn't host any Champions League games for a while because the stadium wasn't suitable according to UEFA. So they made the upgrades. I know owners of Milan and Inter are pushing hard to get a new stadium done, whether it's their own or shared. Obviously, if you're like Juventus or Udinese, not that Udinese is anywhere close to Champions League, but if you're Juventus of the world, you're sitting prettier because you got your own stadium. It's a really nice stadium. So we'll see. Infrastructure is just not up to spec anymore. It's true. But yeah, my question about Gasperini is he too cocky? He just got the Roma. Should he be saying all this stuff? I mean, I guess it's nothing terrible that he's saying, and it's not incorrect, but I don't know. It's not a good look. I think if you're Antonio Conte, you get away with it because we expect it and you just kind of like blow it off. But if you just joined a team, Gasperini, you kind of, I know he's set in his ways. He's done things well. He knows what he knows what works for him, he thinks. But like, I don't know if sharing it in the public eye is a good thing with the Friedkins, because I don't know if they're as receptive to it as maybe De Laurentiis or whoever, or the Atalanta owners. We'll see. Even Lecce won 8-0 today. Camarda with a hat trick. Is that a loan? I think it better be a loan. I love San Siro, but the stadium is over 100 years old and looks like it might collapse at some point. Yeah, I'm glad. When I was in there in 2012, it looked rough, and I can only imagine how it got rougher. Marshall says, "Do you think Redbird will do enough this summer to get the side back into the Champions League this season?" That's an interesting question. Will they do enough? A lot of it has to do with management. They had a Conceição. I like Conceição. I thought I was one of probably the few people who thought he should have got a longer run to see what he can do. He needed a full off season. It's hard coming in January and trying to revolutionize a team. Not many people can do it. Now you got Allegri back. It's going to probably set the football back, the aesthetics of it back 100 years, like San Siro. they'll get back to winning, no doubt. Defense will be better, hopefully. Will Redbird do enough? That's an interesting question. Have they done enough already? Maybe. The question is, what kind of patience will they have? Will they, if Max Allegri gets off to a similar start that Conceição had with Milan, will they pull the plug? Will they, what kind of? We don't know what kind of owners these are in terms of a temperament. Are they the Palermo type, or you just get rid of managers like you're changing underwear, or are you the type that has patience and allows a coach to go through the ebbs and flows? We saw with Conceição, they didn't really have the patience. A lot of it was stubbornness by Conceição. I'll admit to that. But talk about stubbornness, Allegri is stubborn of them all. Thank you, Anthony. He's on loan. Good to know. Yeah, I agree with you. But they got the manager. They got the manager that they wanted. I never liked the second comings of a manager. That's why I never wanted to see Ancelotti back in Milan. Usually when managers go back to their club for a second time, it never works out. Look at Mourinho with Chelsea. Time will tell. Losing Theo Hernandez is huge. How do you fill that void? How do you make sure that Rafa Leao gets what he needs? Are they gonna? Do I expect them to buy a lot of players and that kind of stuff? No. Are they gonna be like Napoli? Napoli has already acquired a lot of players. I don't expect Milan to do that. Can they find the right pieces? Maybe. Depends on how well what Allegri is trying to put together. It's hard to say. I think this is a big year too, because I think if Milan don't get back in Champions League, the Curva Sul is going to want them out immediately. I mean, they already were trying to get him out, but I mean, majority of people, probably myself included, will say get out. I think Redbird deserved a little bit of leniency at the beginning because they're just getting into the team, the club. But now this season is like the make or break for me. Yes, you want to be. We all joked when Redbird said we want to make Champions League. They're basically saying we want to be Arsenal, top 4 every year. That's the goal. If you get anything better, great. Of course, we want to win the Champions League. We want to win the Scudetto, but top 4 is the goal. If they don't get it this year, you got to question everything Redbird does. I think bringing Allegri back is huge, not for the aesthetics again, but I think the results. Allegri gets results. It's never pretty with Allegri. However, automatically they're challenging for top 4. Now there's other teams involved who are really going to have a good year. Roma, you got to watch out on the Gasperini. We just talked about them. Obviously the champions Napoli and Inter. We'll see what Kivu does. We'll get into the Kivu soon, but man, it's a tough one. How about you, Marshall, and everybody else in the chat? What do you think? Redbird's done enough? Or will do enough this summer? The verdict is to be determined. They got the manager they wanted. They got him early. That was key. So, in theory, that'll be enough if they give Allegri what he needs. If Allegri asks for something, they got to give it to him. None of this... Drop my cap on the ground. None of this BS that they did with the Belgian player whose name is escaping me at the moment, who they're squabbling over 5 million euros or something cheap, and he goes and joins Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. They came in a super middle of the night. Mourinho, where's he at? He's at Fenerbahce. That's the kind of shit that doesn't work. So if Max Allegri says, I need players A, B, and C, you go get it. That's it. None of this, because you're losing good players for cheap, and then you have to pay out the pocket and get more expensive players, or don't get anybody, and then the team's going to suffer. If they really have aspirations of being top 4 again this season, whatever Allegri wants, you give it to him. Done. Don't squabble over 5 million euros. That's the BS that infuriates everybody. Yeah. Hey, if we get Jashadi, that could be good. I don't expect Purvis Estupiñán to be putting similar numbers as Theo Hernandez. However, if he can defend better, and I think that's the key. No one is gonna give us the attack of Theo Hernandez unless his name is Di Marco, right? If you're banking on someone to give us the offensive output that Theo Hernandez did, I think you're crazy. However, if we get someone who defends better than him, that's probably better in respect. I think we have enough attacking power. I think if Pulisic and Leao really go nuts this year, and Allegri can figure out the striker situation. If you have a solid defense, which we need massive help with, I think that's good. And hopefully that's what we get. Reno, I'm with you. I think he will do good with Milan. I think he can get top 4. I'm not gonna. There's no way he's gonna get Scudetto. Crazier things have happened, right? We'll see. Maybe Juventus wins the Scudetto. Anthony says, I think Modric and Ricci, I love Ricci by the way, are good signings as well. And Purvis would we need at least one more midfielder, right back, and another striker to compete with Santiago Jimenez. I hope Jimenez has a bounce back year. Marshall says, I don't think Red Bull will. They nickel and dime every player that we need. Exactly. And I don't think they understand that it'll take some debt to make us profitable again. You got to spend some to win some, right? Honestly, Teo last season didn't do much. So if Purvis puts in 3 to 4 assists and maybe a free kick goal, that'll be enough. I'm with you. What's happening with the Club Rouge player? He's off to Fenerbahce, Reno. Milan were nickel and diming Club Rouge or whatever club he was with. And Mourinho said, come on, I got your private jet. Let's go. By the way, that whole private jet thing, and I'm going off tangents here. You guys have dragged me down this Milan hole, but the player in question from Belgium, Milan's squabbling over a couple million euros. Mourinho comes in the dead of night with Fenerbahce in a private jet. Milan hear this, and this is a rumor. I can't say this is confirmed, but apparently Milan heard that Mourinho brought a private jet out, so they sent a private jet out to Belgium as well. And the player's like, okay, do I go to Milan or do I go to Fenerbahce? I'm going to Fenerbahce. And the pilot for Milan's private jet, is twiddling his thumbs with his finger up his ass. Not a good look. Not a good look for Milan and Redbird. Archie Brown. Oh, Ghent. Thank you. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Ollie. Park the bus, huh? Okay. All right, let's get into some more other manager news. We're taking about another manager who stayed with his club. This manager, Cesc Fabregas. There's questions about whether he's going to go to this club or that club, this and that. And I'm thinking he's part owner of Como. Why would he leave Como, especially if they were planning to spend 80 to 100 million euros this summer? Well, he sat down with BBC, and he has some really great advice for the youth. So, I want to share that here for those who missed it.
When I speak sometimes to young players, the best investment you can do, even if you are not earning crazy money, instead of taking private planes, instead of getting great cars, spend the money on chefs at home, in mental coaching preparation. If you are not happy because of the level of the fitness coach, always get a little bit extra, sleep well, spend money on these things that can get value for your future. Believe me, it's happened to me, it's happened to 99.5% of the careers, that once you start not feeling that well, once you've won a lot, once you've played so many games, you start becoming a little bit weak, because you think, why do I need to give more? Why do I now need to do this if I've done it 2 times? They don't care about this. This is their life.
So those are the comments by Cesc Fabregas. I thought that was brilliant advice. And I think it's advice that young people need to understand. And it's not just football players. It's any athlete, I think. Hey, Cesc has got too much class, go to Inter. Yeah. You know, as much as I like Cesc Fabregas, you hear him say this, and you're like, that's why everyone loves him. And you understand what kind of brilliant mind he is, why he does so well coaching. This is fantastic advice, and hopefully his players are listening to him, because no, you go waste your money, you get this big bonus check when you join a club, you go and spend it all and become broke. No, save the money, buy a chef for home. Yeah, eat well. You got to eat well. Why is Ronaldo ripped at 97 years old? It's because he eats damn well, right? He's going to play till he's under 50. Eat well, buy a couple nice things for yourself that'll help with your mental health, whether it's a therapy, a gym, whatever. But this is fantastic advice by Cesc Fabregas, and you only want him to do good things, Como, they're spending money this summer, and I think this is the guy who can take them take Como, put them on the map in Europe, in European football. I think reaching European football this season is possible. It's going to be damn difficult because there's a lot of hella good teams in Serie A. I mean, there's easily 8-9 good teams in the league now that are all battling for top 8, top 7, whatever top 6 it is. Como's going to get money. Can they get the right pieces to make it fit, make it work? They're going to have some major upsets this season. But I think Como, who finished 10th last year, I think it was 10th. I think it's possible they go to Europe this year. It's quite possible. Ronaldo will surpass King Kazu. Yeah. Yeah. So, interesting words by Cesc Fabregas. No private planes, no great cars. Get money for chefs, mental preparation, fitness coach of your own. That's great advice. Great advice. Speaking of great advice, someone told the best goalkeeper in Serie A to remain in Serie A. Of course, talk about the best goalkeeper according to Serie A and their awards last season. It's Svilar. Svilar gets an extension with Milan, with Roma till 2030. Good to have him stay in the league. You want the best goalkeepers in Serie A to stay in Serie A and bring some others, along for the ride. It says Roma is pleased to announce that Milan Svilar has extended his contract with the club until June 30th, 2030. He's one of the absolute protagonists of the Giallorossi last season, collecting 16 clean sheets in the league. Not only that, but Roma kept 11 clean sheets in 2025, a record among Europe's top 5 leagues. At the end of the season, Svilar was awarded the title of the best goalkeeper for the season, judged by Lega Serie A. Since 2022, Svilar has made 88 appearances for Roma in all competitions. Congrats to Svilar, fully deserved his renewal. I think the one thing we can all agree on is when Svilar, the choice was made, I think it was by De Rossi, to put Svilar in goal over that freaking clown Rui Patricio. Roma's been better. Much better, and he's a wonderful goalkeeper. They still have their issues Roma did last season and the year before that, but Svilar is a piece you don't have to worry about. And when it's the goalkeeper situation is secure, you can focus on the defense, focus on the other pieces. What Ranieri did with the club last year was wonderful. 16 clean sheets, amazing. And that could be one of the reasons Gasperini is so cocky. Yeah, whoever doesn't rate Svilar needs to get their eyes checked. I see that Svilar is a wonderful goalkeeper. Top 3 in the league, obviously top in the league. He won the Lega Serie A best goalkeeper, but I mean, just in general, if you look at it, it's probably, you look at the best goalkeepers in the league, it's him and, oh my God, what's his name? Jan Sommer, right? And there's some other ones, some really good ones. Merritt had a really great year last year. But, yeah, if you have a goalkeeper, the quality of Svilar, you have the best goalkeeper in the league, probably reason to be cocky if you're Gasperini. I agree. But, good for Roma. I'm curious to see what they give Gasperini this offseason, because you get the right pieces there. You get a healthy Dybala. You obviously got Svilar doing what he does. Top 4 is almost a guarantee. We'll see what they do with the defense, but if they can shore the defense, people stay healthy, key people stay healthy, top 4 is probably guaranteed, and they could be a dark horse for Scudetto. That crazy? I think there's another team who finished in the top 4 last year that's maybe not going to be in the top 4. So Roma could supplant and be the next one. Roma in Champions League this year. I think that's a safe bet. I think if you're an odd maker, I bet you that's a safe bet. But we'll see. Suzuki as well. Used to be Italy famous for defenses. They're now famous for goalkeepers. Yeah. Oh, Suzuki's a really great goalkeeper. Absolutely. All right, now it's time to go through all the teams in Serie A. Look at what they've done. See the new managers. And give our way too early predictions for the league. Moves haven't stopped yet, and as we always do in Serie A sit down, once the transfer market closes, then we'll make our official. Well, I'll make my official. Maybe I get Frank out of retirement, and he can make a prediction for the season. But this would be a way too early prediction, not knowing how the transfer market is going to go. But I want to give a quick shout out to this creator on Reddit. Their user handle name is Then She Came Like Ah. That's his name. I'll show it to you here. Look there, right here. That's the username right there. But this creator created this spreadsheet. It's a wonderful one, and I will share this. I will share this with everyone on a tweet. I'll put it even in the chat right now. Here, so you can follow along. Put it in the chat. There you go. You got it in the chat now. You can go and click his Google Docs. It's a Google document there, so go check it out. But let's get into the front of the matter here, and we are going to start with, let me make this a little smaller so it all fits on the screen here. All right, we are going to start with the champions, Napoli. We're going to go in order of how they finished in the league. Start with Napoli. Napoli, Antonio Conte, of course, stays with Napoli, and surprise, not surprised, right? He's always balking, wants more, wants this and that. But like, once you heard rumors that Kevin De Bruyne was coming to Napoli, you know he was staying. And De Laurentiis has gave him some good players, right? Luca just joined them, and they had a plethora of other signings as well. So Napoli look as the pace setter right now in Serie A for this next season. Let's look at some of the players. Alex Moret and Matheus Ferrante as his backup in goal. Right back, you got Giovanni Di Lorenzo, Zanoli, and Mazzocchi backing him. Defense, you got Buongiorno and Rahmani. With behind them, their deputies are Marianucci and Bokema, with Obermartin and Juan Jesus, his other backups. Left back, you got Mateus Oliveira. Again, can he duplicate or do better than he did last year? It seemed like he got his 8 assists in the first 8 games and disappeared after that. Spinazzola and Zerbin. So the defense is pretty good. They strengthened for sure. Noah Lang. Yeah, Noah Lang, absolutely. Midfield, Lobotka returned to Billy Gilmore and Cayuste in the middle. You got Kevin De Bruyne, Anguissa, and Vergara. McTominay, Folorunshu, and Hassa. I mean, this is fantastic. You put any combination of De Bruyne, Anguissa, Lobotka, Gilmore, McTominay, and Folorunshu in there, that's top midfield. Very few midfielders are going to compete with them. And then in the attack, Politano, Neres, Ngonj, and Khedira. On the left side, you got Raspadori, Noah Lang, Lindstrom, and Ambrosino, excuse me. And then up top, you got Lukaku. Osimhen, technically still on the books, but that's not going to, I think he's going to be sold. Lorenzo Luca, who I just mentioned, Giovanni Simeone. So these are the pace setters. This is the team to beat, as Ali says. They were good last year. And then you add Noah Lang, Kevin De Bruyne, Marianucci, Boikema. This midfield is sick. And then you add Lorenzo Luca to vice Lukaku and Simeone. I don't even know where Simeone gets in the team in this. I expect David Neres have to be more influential this year. And Gonj, I think, going to have a bounce back year. Raspadori is going to do his thing. And Politano is going to do his thing as well. This is a damn good team, man. This is a damn good team. So Napoli are, I'm just gonna put it right now, they're the team to beat. As Ali said, they're my number 1 for this season, unless somebody does something this off season that says otherwise. All right, well, a team that's not going to be competing with them, in my opinion. Ali says only thing is too many games. We saw how it affected us last season. 50+ games in every match, every 3 days, 6%. Yep. So Ali brings up a great point right here, and this has been something that's plagued Antonio Conte his entire career. Too many games every 3 days, and Nima's talked about this numerous times, right? When he's at Inter, every 3 days he doesn't know how to rotate his teams well, and his teams struggle. And they don't have Europe on the line like last season. Team is dominant. His teams are dominant, but when they play every 3 days, there's inconsistencies. He can't decide if he wants to be in Champions League or win the Scudetto. And usually it hurts both. He's always struggling in Champions League, and then the Scudetto hurts the year that he has the Champions League team. Someone asked him about that, but he again also says, like, look, I win games. I usually have to rebuild teams from scratch. Some of it is understandable. Other stuff is like not so much. If I was Antonio Conte, which I'm not, I have more hair. You focus on the Scudetto and do your best you can in the Champions League, but you got to rotate. I don't know how it's going to work out. I guess it depends on who is in the groups with them. Obviously, this new format that they have in Champions League, I like it a lot. It allows you to rotate a little bit more, I think, especially if you start off hot. But that's a great point by Ali. I think that's something you have to take into consideration. The question is, are there any teams close enough to what Napoli can put out? That is to be determined. And a team who was there last year, Inter. Is anyone confident in this chat or watching this confident that Christian Chivu is the guy to take Inter to Scudetto or Champions League? I like Christian Chivu. I do. But what has he done to show us that he can do this? And I know there's those Xabi Alonsos of the world, guys with no experience, come in and boom, they win the title. They do great things with their club. I'm not convinced with Chivu. If someone is confident with him, please let me know. And why. I'm all open to it. I don't see it. And I think if anyone in the top four is going to have a down year, one of them is Inter. And I think the only reason Inter will make a top four is if teams below them struggle too. Inter still have talent. I mean, look at this team. They still got Jon Sommer. Yeah, Josep Martinez. They got Gigianato in goal. Pavard, De Vrij, Darmian. Good. Acerbi, Bisek, Palacios, Bastoni, Augusto, and Van Houten. Pretty good back line. And midfield, Çalhanoğlu's gone, right? He's going to, I think, Galatasaray. Where's he going? They got Aslani, Stankovic, Dumfries, Luis Enrique, Taj Buchanan, Di Marco, and Zalewski. Mkhitaryan on his last legs. Fratesi should have a big year. Sucic, Barella, Zelinski. I mean, it's still a good midfield. It's still a good midfield. And then up top, you got Thuram, Esposito, and obviously Boni just joined the team. Lautaro, Esposito was really good, and Taremi. So they still got really good players on this team. Talent alone, they'll be challenging for top four. But you need the coach to come up big in some of these big games. If they don't win the derby, fans are going to be pushing down on them. Well, how much patience does the ownership have? We will see, but I think if it's a team that could miss out on the top four that was there last year, Inter is absolutely one of those teams. Talent alone could get them there, but it's going to be close. They're going to be in that 4th, 5th range, in my opinion. I mean, anybody feel good about Inter? Anybody confident that Inter will do well next year? I'm curious. I don't have it right now. I don't. Let's see. It says, I think Milan could challenge for the Scudetto with a game a week. Yeah, 1 game a week is going to help. And as Tade can get the remaining pieces for Allegri, yeah. Ali says, having talented Primavera kids compared to your opponents will not bode well in Serie A, especially since you aren't allowed to tackle in Primavera. And I can see Inter being frustrated by smaller teams. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I totally agree with that. But again, we'll see how Chivu does. Also, they imploded with those interviews. Hakan got shat on and they still want him to stay. I know. I see Inter have some struggles under Chivu. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel the same way. I think Interisti do too. So I'm curious. The talent is still there. They're probably the second most talented team in the league. But the coaching is like Conte, Chivu. And that's going to be a huge difference. You'll see in the first big game that they have what kind of manager they have. And the small teams, to Ollie's point. Locker room's going to be a mess. Yeah, you need to be able to handle that. That's why Ancelotti is one of the best managers ever, because how he handles teams. If you can't, you can be a good coach for all you want, but if you can't handle the locker room, like Conceição couldn't apparently, your team's going to struggle. So I think Inter are going to be in the mix. I would not lock them in as a top 4. I am not confident in them. Another team I'm not going to be confident on is Atalanta. They got rid of Gasperini left, and they brought in Ivan Juric. Ivan Juric who just came off of one of the worst seasons in English football history with Southampton. And I try to not hold that too firmly, because what has Ivan Juric in Serie A? He's done good things. Their defense his defense has always been good. They've punched above their weight. And now you're essentially in a top tier team. A team that's been battling in the top four. Can he get them over the edge? We saw what happened when he went to Roma. He was given the opportunity to Roma and he shat the bed. Will that happen again? Will he get enough leniency from the ownership to get a chance to ride through the wave? Because you imagine there's going to be a wave of frustration at the beginning, as it was at Roma, as it did at Southampton. To be determined. I don't know, I'm not confident, but look at their team. Caranasecchi, Sportiello, come from Milan, Rossi, the back, Hain and Godfrey, love that. Gemisti, Conoso and Bonafanti, Scalvini and Kolasnic, not bad. Midfield, you got Bellanova and Palestra on the right, Darun, Brescianini and Sulemana, with Ederson and Pasalic in the middle, and Zapacosa, Hanor and Bakar in the left. It's a good midfield. And then you got CDK is back with Samardzic, two wonderful players right there. Scamacca, Maldini, and Toure. And then Lookman, if he stays, he could be going to Inter or somewhere else for 45 million plus euros. And Sulemana, if Lookman goes, Sulemana's going to do well. Retegui off to Saudi Arabia, I guess he went to. So, if you look at the team, it's a good team. Even if they lost Retegui, even if they're going to lose Adam Lookman. Scouting has been so good for Atalanta. It's a plug-and-play system, but now the main guy of that whole system is gone, Gasperini. Can they continue to do what they did? They're going to be more defensive. That's this Ivan Juric's style. Torino, everywhere he's gone, has been more defensive. Still a 3-4-3. I can see a setback offensively compared to what they were last year. It's just, obviously, Allegri plays attacking football, and Juric is a defensive-minded coach. So that's going to be a big difference there. So you're not going to see as an explosive Atalanta as we've seen in the past. And I could be wrong. Maybe Juric can find some mix between defense and offense, but I'm not confident in that until I see it. Maybe they're more consistent, though. He was really, really consistent with Torino. Ivan Juric was. If he can get Atalanta to play consistently, that'll be an upgrade from Gasperini, because you saw Atalanta at times were world beaters, other times they lost to teams they had no right to losing. So we'll see. Like Inter, I'm not fully confident in them. Again, like Inter, talent-wise, they'll be a fighter's chance. Inter has more talented players than Atalanta do. If I'm comparing Ivan Juric to Christian Kivu, I don't know who got the edge. I guess Juric, because what he did at Torino. But you can't overlook what he did at Southampton and Roma. And then Kivu, no experience. So maybe it's what you don't know is what's better for you, and maybe Kivu's better in that regards. Ali says if they get rid of Lookman, then they're basically an 8th to 10th place team. I don't care who they bring in. Yeah, I'm confident in Sulemana, but he's no Lookman. He's no Lookman. Now, think about this. Yes, you got Sulemana. The Ketelare can play on both wings. One wing you have Samardzic. Samardzic can play on both wings. You could put CDK and Samardzic out there with a Scamacca or a Maldini or a Toure. More of a Scamacca. Maybe you got something there. But I'm not confident that they're going to play attacking the football, or Ivan Juric is going to give them the reins to play how they've played in the past. And so I think all these guys are going to have lower numbers. You know, losing Lookman is losing 40 plus goals a season, and goals and assists. I think having Ivan Juric loses you 40 plus goals and assists in a season too. So they're going to be battling for top four. I think Inter are slightly ahead of Atalanta at present. CDK needs bodies up front to help him. Retegui and Lookman are, yeah, I agree. Now, one team who was trying desperately to get a manager and nobody wanted to go to them, and they decided to keep their manager, would it end up benefiting them? Igor Tudor stays at Juventus. I like Igor Tudor, and I hope he does well. He did well with what he had last year at Juventus. Got them in the top 4. Got them back in Champions League. Is he gonna get you a Scudetto? To be determined. I think a top 4. It's pretty confident in them being a top 4 this year. Pretty confident. More confident than I am with Inter. Look at their team. In goal, they got Di Gregorio, Perin, and Pinsoglio. Defense, Pierre Kalulu, Savona, and Gonzalez with Bremer. Bremer back. Hopefully he's back healthy, stays healthy. Rogani and Giallo. Gatti, Kelly, and Cabal. Good defense. And midfield, you got Alberto Costa, Tim Weah, who I think is going to be on his way out. Locatelli, Douglas Luiz, Artomelo. I think he's gone, isn't he? He's on loan. I don't know if he's going back. Thuram, McKennie, who I think is on his way out too. Meretti, Cambiaso, Kostic, and Rui. Not a bad. Then Conceição and Gonzalez. I thought both of them left. I saw the news, but I haven't paid attention close to them with them recently. Reno, fill us in the chat if you can. Jonathan David, a huge addition. I hate seeing him go there, but he's going to do well with Vlahovic and Milik. Milik, who we just talked about earlier, he'll be on the bench. He's a good person to have just in case. I think Vlahovic and David will get the majority of the playing time. Can they play together? And then Yildiz, Koopmeiners. Koopmeiners going to have a bounce back year. And Adzic. So it's still a very good team. Ali says Juve will struggle for top 4. They barely got into it by the skin of their teeth. Yeah, but I think they improved with Tudor than what they had previously. And only because Milan, Lazio, and Roma struggled so hard. Yeah. Allegri wants Vlahovic in Milan. Okay. I think Milan needs more help than striker, but hey, they can get him on the cheap, you know. But yeah, I think I agree with the comment. Juve is going to struggle to get top 4. I would hold them solely on the manager. That it would be, if you're looking at the 3 teams we just talked about, Juve, Atalanta, and Inter. I think Inter has the best chance. Juve has the best chance. Juventus has the best chance to be top 4. They're going to struggle, but they're going to be the best chance. Then Inter, then Atalanta. So whether that's 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7. If they recover Bremer, it won't be as big as a struggle, but it will still be a struggle. Yeah, I agree. It won't be easy. And you got teams like Lazio, Roma, and Fiorentina who got some things to say, and Milan as well. But I think Tudor, I'm pulling for Tudor. I like him a lot. He needs to shore up the defense and get some better play up top. Jonathan David there, whether Vlahovic stays or not, you got a good striker there, and you got to get the most of your wing players there as well. Anthony says right now his top 4 is Napoli, Milan, Roma, and Juventus. Yeah, that's a good top 4. That's a good top 4. But I like this Juve team. All right, moving on to a team that's I think almost a guarantee to be top 4, and possibly my dark horse for Scudetto. It's Roma. Gianpiero Gasperini, what he's done at Atalanta, we already talked about. It's been amazing. Didn't do well at his previous stints. Yeah, he had a lot of freedom at Genoa. Inter didn't last that long. What will we see at Roma? Will he get the freedom at Roma? Will they give him what he wants? All to be determined. It's a pretty solid team, right? Svilar, best goalkeeper. Golini, good backup. Defense, you got Rent, Celik, Mancini, Hermoso, Indica, and Kumbula. I mean, any combination of Celik, Mancini, Indica, and Kumbula back there. Hopefully Kumbula has a bounce back year. If he's with the club. That's still a good defense. Midfield, Sule, Abdul Hamid, and Sangare. Kone, Pisa, I like Kone a lot. Cristante. Ainaui, Pellegrini, and Baldanzi. Baldanzi, I'm hoping to have a big year this year. Angelino, Salahidin, and Manini. Yeah, it's a solid midfield. And then they got Dovbik in attack. Evan Ferguson, as LaFleur just said. LaFleur, Anthony. And Solbakken. And you got Dybala, El Shaarawy, and Cherubini. I mean, you got some pieces there. I think hopefully Gasperini gets the best out of Dovbyk. I think he will. What we've seen, he's taken, rock, dirt, and turned it into diamonds. He's taken coal and turned it into diamonds. Gasperini has with talent. Dovbyk, you imagine, is going to have a big year. If Dybala can stay healthy, with some of these other players around, Sule, some of these guys will have big years attacking-wise. And if they can figure out the defense with, Ndika, Mancini, and Celik, or whatever combination they have, they obviously have the goalkeeper. They got to figure out the Cristante thing, but shore up that middle of the defense, middle of the midfield. This team is a threat, and they got a good manager who's been at the top tier team. So I think Roma's almost a lock. I think Roma's a lock for top 4, and they're going to be outside dark horses. If Napoli slips up, I think Roma is a team that could be able to capitalize on that. Let's see. It says they're getting Evan Ferguson from Brighton for 40 million. Yeah, it's they spent money. That's good on them. Ali says Napoli, Milan, and the rest is a toss-up. Inter might sneak in the top 4 because everyone's changed so much. Yeah, that's because I don't have faith in Juve, Roma, and the first year with Gasperini. Yeah, and Lazio with Sarri. Yeah, that's a great shout. Gasperini's been there and done that though. Can he do that with a new team? He's got some studs to start off with, right? Dybala and Svilar, Mancini, good pieces to start with. So let's see what they do. I am confident in Roma this year. You know who's back in our lives? Stefano Pioli. The shock of the season for me is seeing the manager now escaping, the former manager of Fiorentina leaving in the fashion that he did. I was surprised to see that. They couldn't see eye to eye. Como's going to do well this year for sure. Como's battling for Europe. Stefano Pioli's back after his exile in Saudi Arabia. He's back in our lives and back at Fiorentina. Fiorentina had a decent season last year. I thought them and Lazio really had a strong chance of making top 4. And for a good part of the season, they were in the mix, and then eventually fell out the wayside at the end. But this is a good team. What can he do with them? We saw what he's done with Milan in the past, right? But De Gea in goal, that's going to be a good, solid player there for them. Yes, he's getting older, but goalkeepers can play, as we saw with Buffon, well into their 40s. Defense, Pogracic, like him, Cospo, Valentini, Comuzzo, Mari, Ranieri, Viti. Capable defense. You got Dodo, Icone, Fazzini, Antonio Barak, and Infantino, and Fortini, Mandragora, Amir Richardson, Bianco, Fagioli, is he going to be there? Is he going back? Endor, Sabiri, Gosens, Parisi, Favasuli. I mean, it's a solid midfield. Ollie, I'm with you on Como. Moise Keane, can he have another year? Hopefully he builds on last year and continues to build another great year. Edin Dzeko is now, who, at 97 years old, he's still doing good things. He did really well in Turkey, and he's back now in Serie A. Obviously, Nzola and Kwame. Gudmundsson, I imagine a bounce back year for him. Lucas Beltran. Obviously, Ricardo Sotil, is he back with Fiorentina, or is he still with Milan? And Brecalo. So this Fiorentina team is a team to watch. They're gonna be battling for Europe. If Inter and Atalanta and hell, even Juventus, if they don't get their act together, Pioli is a good manager. Say what you want about him. He is a good team. He figured it out with Milan. Can he rediscover that magic now with Fiorentina? Now that he's back, we'll see. He learned hardships at Fiorentina. He learned how to become a top manager at Milan. Can he reignite some of that at Fiorentina? Time will tell, but I think they could be spoilers for somebody. They could be okay. For Sotil is back. Thank you, Ollie. Fiorentina's forward line is actually really good. They are. I mean, Moise Keane has got to start. Gudmundsson's got to start. But Dzeko, man, like you said, Nzola, Kwame, I love those two players there. Gudmundsson, Beltran, Sotil, and Brecalo. I mean, this is a really good attack. If they're solid midfield and solid defense, keep a clean sheet and get the ball to these attackers up top, Pioli can be on fire again. Pioli's on fire. He could be on fire again. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, I agree, Ali. After the whole Davide Astori situation, he's going to be untouchable there. Now, someone who used to be untouchable, Sarri, is back to his old stomping grounds after his falling out with Lotito. He's back to they've shook hands, kissed up, whatever. He's back, and Lazio will be a playmaker at some point. To Ali's point, will it be a slow start? Time will tell. The question is, does he still have all the pieces there? He had built this team the way he wanted before he left. He's back now, and some of those pieces are still there. But can they get it done? I don't know. Mandas, Provedel, and goal. Ranzetti, Furlanetto. Good goalkeeper situation. Marasic, Lasari, Husai, with Gila and Proscard and Ruggeri. Romagnoli, Guijot, Patrick, Tavares, Ranieri, Kamanovic. It's a solid defense. Not as good as maybe some of the clubs we've talked about, but it's not bad. Anthony says Pioli at the helm. Fiorentina could challenge for Europa League spot. Maybe higher. We'll see. They get off to a fast start. Who knows? Midfield, you got Ravella, Balien, Cataldi, Guendouzi, who had a really good year last year, Vecino and Basic. Not bad attacking there. And then you got with Isaksen, Pedro, and Cancellieri, Buledia, love him, Bashiro, Munez, Sakani, Fernandez, and Fares, with Castellanos and Nozlin up top. I mean, Nozlin, give him some time. Does Lazio have Europe? I think they do. I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't remember if they made it last year, but I think they do. I think Fiorentina has the last Champions League spot, maybe? Or no, Fiorentina missed out altogether. Man, it seems so long ago. It was just, 2 months ago? Man, life has changed for me in the last 2 months, so I forgot. Someone lets us know in the chat. That would be helpful. If they don't have Europe, if it's just a one league they have to worry about, the Saudi team could be dangerous. If they got multiple leagues to worry about, it could be a challenge. But I like this team. I like the attack that they have. It rivals Fiorentina's attack. Napoli, Inter, Atalanta, and Juve are in the Champions League spots. Lazio are not in Europe. So there you go. They will be a challenge for certainly Europa League, maybe top 4. Depends how hot they get. Bologna's in Europa League. That's right. But yeah, I like this team. I don't know how quickly they're going to mesh together. Sade can get off to a fast start. To be determined. I think they're behind Roma. Them and Fiorentina could be a challenge for people. All right. Moving on. Now we go to Milan and Massimiliano Allegri. Cortomuso. Redbird. Have they done enough? Bringing in Allegri is a great start. That tells me they are serious about making top 4. I think automatically adding Allegri, even though I don't think second stints at clubs work out, I think Allegri's good enough manager that he can. You saw his second stint at Juventus. It wasn't as good as the first stint, but they were still fighting for Champions League. Milan will be challenging for Champions League for sure. Magnon's still there at the time being. Terracciano, Vasquez, and Torriani in goal. You got Jimenez, who came up strong at the end of the season. Emerson Royale, some reason, is still there. Malik Chow and Gabia. That could be the order this year. Tamori and Pavlovic. I guess there's something to say about that. Bartasaghi, Terracciano, and we talk about some players that they may bring in here. And the wingbacks, that could help out. Midfield, obviously, Luka Modric is going to get the big attention here. And I think what we're all going to hope and bank on is that Allegri does to Modric what he did to Pirlo when he came to Juventus. taking his age, and yes, Modric is about 3 years older than Pirlo was at the time, but put Modric in a deep line playmaker position as he did with Pirlo, you can really see some great stuff from him going forward for Milan. But you got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, obviously, Fofana, who had an up and down year, but he should have a big bounce back year. Benacer and Adli, we'll see what happens with them. Samuel Ricci, fantastic pickup there. I love Ricci. I'm glad he came to Milan. I for sure thought he was going to Inter, but hell. Yunus Musa, we'll see if he stays. There's rumors that he may be going to, where did they say? Fiorentina? Juve? I forget who it was. Another Serie A team. And Bondo. Warren Bondo is also there. And then attacking, Pulisic, Chikwueze, Salabakers is back. Jimenez and Colombo in the attack with Leao and Okafor. We'll see. And maybe they bring in Vlahovic. The moves that they made so far, Terracciano, Modric, and Ricci, love them. Allegri, could have been worse. Could have been worse. Ali says, I think his second stint at Juve was marred by a poor team. Sure. With this Milan, most of the players are starting to play into their prime. We'll be closer. Closer to the first stint with Milan. Yeah. I saw Allegri in his first stint with Milan at the San Siro when they had El Shaarawy banging in his 16 goals in the first half of the season, and Balotelli coming in. Saw them against Cagliari. Funny enough. Anyway, I digress. This is a good team. They're going to be challenging for top 4. To be determined what kind of team we see here. I mean, obviously Marshall told us about how brutal they were today, apparently, parking the bus. We'll see. Can they get Jashari? Can they get some of the other players that they've been looking at? Time will tell. They're going to be battling for top 4, and whether it's a solid top 4 or not will determine how quickly they start. Obviously, the fan base will get restless if they don't get to a hot start there, but I think the midfield is really solid for Milan. They got to play better. Defense could be upgrade defensively. Better be an upgrade. And I think, Pulisic and Leao, if they can get on the same page at the same time, and then Jimenez has a bounce back year, if they can find another striker to challenge Jimenez, we're talking something here. But no, remember, this isn't going to be your 4-0 games, 4-2 games. It's going to be your 2-0 games, 2-1, 1-0. Get a goal, get a lead, and close up shop, as Allegri likes to do. Modric, I think if he's put in that position like Pirlo was for Juventus, it's only going to be success for that midfield and for that team. But right now, it's going to be, Milan and Roma's of the world challenging Juventus and Napoli's for the top 4, I think. I like this team. All right, let's speed up through some of the rest of these teams here. I think Pjanic, Vidal, Pogba, tight midfield. I'm with you. All right, Bologna, Vincenzo Italiano remains coming off his Coppa Italia victory, and they've added some pieces now. Can they improve upon last year? Well, they're not in Champions League, they're in Europa League, but Skorupski in goal, fantastic keeper. Ravaglia as his backup. You got Holm, Posh, Di Silvestri, Vitek, Casale, and Ilic. Casale went there. Lucomi, Erlich, and Bonifazzi, Juan Miranda, Likojanis, and Corazza. That's a pretty good defense, honestly. That's probably better defense than we've seen from Lazio, Fiorentina, maybe Roma. They got a good defense. Midfield, you got Abisher, Pobega, Urbanski, Freuler, Moro, El Azuzi, Ferguson, and Fabian. Fabian could have bounced or even a bigger year this year, I think. He's got some talent there. Good midfield. This is a good midfield. In the attack, you got Orsolini, Bernardeschi. He's back in Italy. Odgaard, Oquanco, Castro, Dalinga, Ciro Immobile, Ibone, Ndoye, Dominguez, Cambiaghi, and Carlson. This is a solid team, man. This is a solid team. They're Europa League for sure. Even with playing in Europe this season. Man, this is difficult. I would almost rather... This is me, and tell me if I'm crazy. I think you have a really good chance of seeing Napoli is going to win, right? But Juve, Roma, Milan, and Bologna battling for the top 4. I think Bologna is that good. They're going to be They're going to be battling. You think they're going to struggle, Ollie? Let's see. We'll see. I like this Bologna team. It's funny. When I back Bologna, they suck. When I think they're going to struggle, like last year, they do well. I can't get it right with them. So me backing them now, I think Ollie's probably going to be right, and they're going to struggle this year. Oh. We'll see. We'll see how they do. I think a team that we can all get behind, though, is Como. Como, they're spending money this year, man. Putes, Aldero, and Vigorito in goal. Voivoda, Vanderbremt, Kovacic, and Cassandro with Goldanega, Jack and Smolcic. Kemp, Dosen, and Curto, Vale, Moreno, Sala. They're not your household names, but they're solid players here. Yeah, Anthony, I'm with you. Immobile and Bernardeschi will definitely help with their talent. They punch above their weight the last 2-3 seasons. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Ollie. Midfield, you got Perone, Di Cunha, Engelhardt, Roberto Andriali, Caqueret, Mazzatelli, Braunoder, Kone, and Mazzaglia. In attacking, you have Kuhn, who's new to Strafezza, Adai, he's good, Ballet, Kerrigan, Nico Paz still there, Buttarino's brought in, Ali, Abildgard, and Razi with Diao Rodriguez who came in, Fadera and Yassim, and then attack you got Dovicas, Cutrone, Belotti, Azon, Gabrieloni, and Cherry. Maybe Andrea Belotti has a bounce back year, Cutrone has a better year. Striker, I don't feel confident with Como there, but every other piece is a solid piece. If they can have a solid defense and get timely goals, they're going to need big goals. They're going to need someone to step up in the striker position. Whether it's Belotti or whomever. But this attacking trio's got to bring it. Really do. Nico Paz, Alex Valle, Asana Diao, Strafezza. Enough said. Yeah. Yeah. This is a good team. They're going to be battling for Europe. They're battling for Europe. It's going to be fun to watch. If you don't bring your A game against Como, they're going to take it to you. Marco Baroni, he returns to Torino. Why wouldn't he? They finished 10th place, as they always do. Or whatever it was, 11th place. Milinkovic Savic, who I thought was coming to Milan. I think I died down with Magnon Stain. Pagliari, Popa, and Donnarumma. Not Gianluigi. And defense, you got Maripan, Shures, and Gessen. Ismaili, Valukiewicz, Sazonov, Coco, Massina, Mullen. Midfield, you got Peterson, Dembele, Balkot, Ilicic. Good to see him back. Temeze, Ilkan, Casadai, Genetitis, Kamiakela, Biragi, Nazzaro, Bayaye, Vlasic, Anjorin, and Percun. And you got Che Adams. I love Che Adams. Sanabria. Love you, Sanabria. Sava. Zapata. Nie. And Aroti. So they got some good strikers. Good strikers. Solid team. I think as Torino has been over the last 45 years, they're going to finish 10th. They're going to finish mid-table. Only way they finish higher, and it's going to be hard with all the teams in the league, is if their strikers go apeshit this year. But they're going to have to drag them because I think the rest of the team is just solid enough. Good goalkeeper. But I don't see him at a mid-table. And I think ownership, Cairo is going to be happy with that. Baroni is going to give him that. Anthony says Torino will finish mid-table again like they always do. Yep. Torino are the epitome of mid-table. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. 100%. It's an easy one, I think, for all of us. All right. Udinese. Costa Roncic will start off with Udinese, and why wouldn't he? Finish his 11th or 12th place last year. Okoye, great goalkeeper there. Sava Padelli, Christensen, Cabasele, Bertola Palma, Sole, and Gianetti in defense. In the midfield, you got Isibue, Modesto, Ballarini, Lovric, Karlstrom, Paero, Eklund, Kamp, Atta, and Zaraga with Kamara, Zamora, and Buta in the midfield with Tauven, Pafundi, and Brennar in attack with Davis, Pizarro, and Bayo, Sanchez, Bravo, and Piacic. I think they punched way above their weight last year. The Fulham of Italy. I was pleasantly surprised with Udinese last year. And I thought it was funny that Udinese fans were complaining that they were 11th place. It's like, guys, you were on the verge of relegation for years. basically since Di Natale left. And you're complaining about being, mid-table? Runčić did a fantastic job. He deserved to stay. I think, look at the teams below them. They could repeat. It's going to be hard, for sure. I can't see them doing better than they did last year, though. If they equal what they did last year, that's going to be a win. But with the teams in front of them, they're not going to compete with the Torinos and the Comos and Bolognas of the world, let alone everybody else in the top 7. But I think they'll be happy. You should be happy. I'll have to hear what Sonia Misio and all other Udinese fans think about that. But I think, 11th, 12th place, 13th place, that's a good place for Udinese. As long as they're not battling for the relegation, I think that's a good year. Not having Lorenzo Luca, as Anthony says, is going to hurt for sure. And someone's got to fill that void. Can they do it? Maybe. There's Alexis Sanchez and Tovan. In their old legs, do they still have something left in the tank? We'll see. But that's the big question mark for them. Who can score goals for them? Luka's not there anymore. But I think overall, you got a really good keeper. It's a good mid-table team. All right, Genoa. Patrick Vieira remains after steering their team back into the mid-table spot. In goal, you got Sigris, Leali, Somariva, and Calvani. In defense, you got Sabelli and Norton Kufi. De Winter, Otoa, and Vogliaco. Vasquez, Bani, Marcandali, and Martin. Midfield, you got Massini. Malanovsky's back. Hopefully he has a bounce-back year himself. Ellertson, Frendrup, Thorsby. Hopefully both those guys have bounce-back years. Bohinen. Attacking midfield, you got Venturino, Junior Messias, Fini, Stankiu, Papadopoulos, Cuenca, Grombach, Carboni, Aramu, and Anquilla. With attack, you got Vitinha. Hopefully he continues building off last year. Hector, Ekuban as well, and De Benedetti. It's a decent team. I think they could give Udinese a run for their money. With good defense, they could maybe challenge Torino. But I think they're in a good spot where they're at. I don't see them dropping any further than that, unless they have hit some kind of wall, or Vieira goes off the rails, something. But I don't see it. I think they will be lucky to end mid-table. I expect Parma, Hellas, Genoa to do better than last season. I agree about that, which would push them into a relegation fight. We'll see about Hellas. I'm not quite convinced on Hellas yet. I haven't seen their new season, so we'll see them next. And Parma for sure. And Genoa, I'm with you for sure on Genoa. We'll see. We'll see with Udinese. Runčić did a fabulous job. Was it all the players, or did Runčić have something to do with his last year with Udinese? We'll find a really good taste of what he's about this year. But Genoa, they're a good team. They're gonna be battling. They're gonna be battling the mid-table. They're gonna be battling mid-table teams. All right. Speaking of Hellas Verona, Paolo Zanetti. Can they improve upon last year? Montipo's back in goal. Solid goalkeeper there. Pirelli, Magro, and Tagnolo. Gilardi, Hibose, Calabrese, Slotsager. Kuchkuchua, Oyegoke, Cham, and Colon with Suslov and Castanos. Niase, Harawi, and Charlie's. Swatserder. You imagine him to be better this year. Bernende and Cisse. Fresa, Mitrovic, and Braf. And up top, you got Giovanni, new addition. Mosquera, Lasagna. Kevin Lasagna, man. So plain. Ajayi, Sar, Hamburde, Livramento, and Cruz. It's an interesting team. Cuenca, that's right. Cuenca's going to have a good year. I think he is. This is an interesting team. Are they better than Genoa? I don't think so. I got some pieces for sure. I think Genoa's just put together better, and I like their attack better, a little bit. Their midfield is really good, I think, for Genoa. It'll be interesting. I think they're gonna be in between that, lower mid-table to relegation fight. If, like Ollie says, they could have a big year and challenge the Genoas and Udinese of the world. And if they're not having a good year, they're going to be battling relegation. But, there's a couple teams there that will be. And we're getting close to the end here. Cagliari, Newman, Fabio Pisacane, What can he do with Cagliari? Can he keep them in the league again? Another year. Caprile, Radunovic, and Giochi. Got Zappa, Obert, Mina, Vietska, Pintus, Luperto, and Veroli in defense. Midfield, you got Zortea, Di Pardo, Cavotti, Atopo, Deola, Prati, Gaetano, Rogue, Felici, Idrisi, Vinci Guerra. In the attack, you got Luvumbu, Borelli, his new addition, Prelic, Piccoli, and Pavoletti. They did beat Napoli. You're right. Hellas needs to up their defense, but I think they'll improve at the very least. Yeah, you're right. They beat Napoli. Honestly, though, and call me crazy, George would probably like hearing this, wherever he's at. I like Cagliari more than Hellas. Probably wrong, right? Ali's probably right on this one. But I kind of like this Cagliari team. Now, most of these guys have been massive underachievers, and I just got a soft spot for some of these guys like Deola and Rogue and Gaetano and Idrisi and Zortea. Some of these guys. I love Luvumbu and Pavoletti is your 90-minute goal merchant there. We'll see. It depends what kind of defense they have. Can they stop anybody? And I'm not convinced of their defense. I think Hellas is a better defense than Cagliari. Hellas has also got a better goalkeeper than Cagliari. So better attack with Cagliari, better defense with Hellas. Defense wins championships, so maybe it is Hellas. Parma, they got something to say here. Carlos Cuesta is the manager for them. You got Suzuki, wonderful goalkeeper, Corvin, Rinaldi. Defense, you got Del Prato, Haino, Leone, and Balog. Cercati, Valentini, Amoran, Lovic, Valeri. Midfield, you got Ordonez, Hernani, Keita, Estevez, Bernabe, Som, and Kuda. With attack, you got Dennis Mann, The Man, Almquist, Mohamed, Partepilo, Pellegrino, Juric, Charpentier, Sitsk, Folowski, Ondrejka, Benedicak, Yao, and Begic. Eric in the house. You guys are going to repeat, man. Eric, I'm confident your team's going to repeat this year. Parma's got a good team, man. Dennis Mann. Juric, Pellegrino. They got some Charpentier. I mean, a lot of good players. Almquist. They got some really good players. Can the defense do enough? Can they give Suzuki enough help? Can they get the ball to the midfield and to the attack? I think Parma, if they play to their strengths, I can see them beat Cagliari, beating Hellas, maybe even challenging Genoa too, and maybe Udinese, right? Parma could have a resurgence. What they've done since their relegation a couple years ago, they've done marvelously to build this team the right way, I think, with American owners. Yeah, I like this Parma team. I think they're gonna improve upon last year. I think I like Parma's team. I do. I like him a lot. Keep Leone. Yeah. I like this team. Let's see. Lecce. You're right, Ale. You're right, Ale. Eusebio Di Francesco has got a job again. How? I don't know. Should we relegate Lecce this year? I hate to do this to the UK Lecce boys. I mean, look at the team. It's not a bad team overall. Falcone in goal with Fructo, Borboy, and Samuia. Behind them, in defense, you got Gilbert Kouassi, who's an addition. Vega, Gaspar, Gian, Baschirotto, Gabriel Esposito, Gallo, Adon, Ubani in defense. Midfield, you got Koulibaly, Kaba, Malé, Rafia, and Kovac. Pure, Ramadani, Faticanti, Gorter, and Yilmaz. In the attacking midfield, you got Perotti, Uden, Endri, Helgason, Marshavinsky, Barisha, McJanet, Banda, Morente, Monake, and Winkelmann. And up top you got Kristovic, Camarda, and Burnett. We saw they were talked about earlier. Camarda with the hat trick earlier. But Sassuolo will stay up this season, being back in Serie A. And they also don't have EDF, so that makes you think Sassuolo is going to stay up. EDF and Lecce, I mean, that's not a good sign. I think Lecce's out too, Eric. Unless he pull some miracle out. He's been a, minus the few blips he's had in a career with, you know, the stint with Roma, Sassuolo early on. For the most part, he's been a relegation guy. Not even mid-table, it's relegation guy. Lecce are going to be in a relegation fight. They've always been a relegation team anyway, in the fight anyway. Despite some of the players that I like on this team, even in the attack. Yeah. They're going to have to win with defense, and I don't know that EDF is the guy to lead them. Lecce is not just good enough. I can see one at the bottom. As a coach, he's just not good enough. I agree. I think Lecce is a bottom 3 team. I do. I agree with you guys. That's another unanimous. We rarely agree unanimously. But Torino mid-table, Como having a good season, and Lecce relegated. I think we all agreed on that so far. Sassuolo, I think Fabio Grosso back coaching with Sassuolo. I like this a lot. I really like Fabio Grosso, what he did at, where was he before? Oh my god. EDF coached him last year. Oh my god. Name's escaping me. I shouldn't be taking 2 months off. I forget things. I'm getting old too. But Grosso did wonderfully before. He's back. He's got a Sassuolo team who was dominant in Serie B last year. Got Peratti in goal with Satalino, Rusto, and Zaki. Defense, you got Misori, Paz, Odental, Romagna, Muharamovic, Ruan Miranda. Not Juan Miranda, but Ruan and Kevin Miranda. Doig, Pirangolo, Torstedt, Volpato, Boloca, Gion, Caligari, Iononi, Lipani. In attack, you got Berardi, who's still there. Loyal guy to Sassuolo. Pierini, Skillerup, Pinamonti, Mulattieri, Alvarez, Loriente. How is Arman Loriente still with them? Good for them, but damn. Luca Moro and Ciervo. They're going to have the attack. Even if Berardi's not quite the same guy as he was, this is a good team. They're not getting relegated this year. Let's see. Might steal points up big clubs once or twice next season, but I'll more due to other teams having a bad day. Pisa. Too much fun with the Pisa jokes this year. Yeah. Pisa. Be an interesting team. I think Sassuolo, though, they could have a Como-like year this season, meaning they mid-table right away from the beginning. I'm pulling for Fabio Grosso. Love what he did in Serie B. Hopefully he can do that with Sassuolo and Serie A. Yeah. I am shocked they still have Arman Loriente. And Pinamonti is great for them. With a Berardi, same guy, but they got Skillerup as well. Volpato, Dorsfeld. This is a team that can attack. This is a good team. They did some good moves. Well, I guess it was last year. They kept some guys, but I like Sassuolo a lot. Final 2 teams. Pisa. Alberto Gilardino with Pisa. He gets his redemption attempt, right? He did so well with Genoa, then they kind of faltered there, and Vieira took over. Now he's with Pisa. You got Semper Scuffet in goal. Loria, Nicolas, Levieri, Vukovic. Defense, you got Rus, Calabresi, Caraccioli, Coppola, Canastrelli, Lusuardi, excuse me. Midfielder, Esteves, Torre, Tramoni, Marin, Akin Sanmiro, Jevensak, Piccinini, Vural, Hoyholt, Ancori, Beruato, and Dormish. Pisa, I know nobody except Gilardino. That's the truth. There's a few players here that I'm aware of. Moreo, Leres, Arena, Gianni, Lind, Meister, Bonafanti, Tramoni, Vignato. So the names that I do know, obviously Simone Scuffet. He was an Udinese product for years. He was the next big goalkeeper. Never made it to those heights, but he's still a solid goalkeeper for them. Calabrese is decent. Caracciolo's okay. Coppola's okay. Tramoni's okay. That's about it. Tramoni and Vignato. Vignato is a good player for them. It's going to be hard for Pisa. Pisa can lean. Damn, I'm bad at jokes. How many Pisa lean jokes we're going to have this year, huh? Are the teams going to be holding them up? keeping them up. We'll see. You can lean on that. Pisa, man, I don't know. I can't see them. At presently, they're not as good as the Cagliaris, the Hellases of the world. They're not as good as Lecce. Pisa's going to be in the bottom three, I think, unless Gilardino pulls up some magic, which he did at Genoa. So it's quite possible. We're going to have to take some no names and make them household names here very quick, like he did at Genoa. So we'll see. I'm not confident in Pisa, though. And then we got the Cremonese with the ever-present relegation man, Davide Nicola, who always seems to save his teams. Can he do it this year? This will be a miracle if he can with Cremonese. Pulignati, Saro, Nava, Tomasi and goal, Bianchitti, Colini, Ravanelli, Moretti, Ceccarini, Ndaye. Midfield, you got Barbieri, Mussolini, Zanamacchia, Colo Colo, Grassi, Valotti, Milanese, Castagnetti, Pico, Brambilla, Van Dupute, Vasquez, Lord Kipante, Azzi, Serrelekla, Qualiata, Rocchetti, and attacking at De Luca, Nasti, Afina Gian, good to see him back, Stukler, Johnson, Okoreke, Bonazzoli, and Tuschot. I like their attackers. Ser Nicola is a decent player. Grassi I like a lot. Velotti I like a lot. Barbieri I like. Ravanelli has his moments. Ceccarini has his moments. Nava's okay. I am on the fence about Pisa staying up. Depends what Gilardino could do. Only way Pisa stays up is if Gilardino pulls some kind of miracle. I can't see them staying up this year. We'll see. Cremonese is bottom three for me. So, Cremonese has our boy Shajuit. So now I have to cheer for them and Lecce and Genoa. Let's cheer for anybody who's not a Milan rival, right? So predictions. Again, shout out to this guy. I put this link in the chat. I will send it out in a tweet. I'll put it in the video description as well. Shout out to this creator who created this wonderful spreadsheet. My way too early predictions. So start from the back and work our way forward. As of right now, still early. You probably covered it, but Juric Atalanta is going to be fun to watch. The fireworks on the sidelines. Eric, yeah, we did talk about them. I think I'm not confident in Juric. It's not going to be as good as they were with Del Piero, with Gasperini. But they should be better defensively. Should be interesting to say the least. I am not as confident with him at the helm at Atalanta. I'm not confident in Kivu with Inter. And another one was there. There's some other one. Those are two main ones that I'm not confident in. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. So my way too early predictions, as we're still in the middle of the Mercato. And this can change. It's going to be a disaster. Okay, relegation. Cremonese, Pisa, Lecce. They're getting relegated. Mid-table obscurity. We're going to go Torino, Udinese, in no particular order. But this is going to be that mid-table grouping. Let's go from the bottom opposite. Cagliari, Hellas, Udinese, Parma, Genoa, Torino. In that midfield, in that order, Torino is being 10th place. I guess that's 10th place. What is that? Is that 10th place? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th place. 11th place. Torino, 11th place. Top 10. This is difficult. Because Como can do some things this year. Oh, man. Who misses Europe? Okay, who misses Europe here? I'm going to say... Ooh. This is tough. Como misses Europe. They finished 10th. 9th. Oh, man, this is hard. Lazio are going to hate me. Lazio finished 9th. Atalanta 8th. 7. Ooh, 7 is Fiorentina. 6 is Inter. 5. But 6 is Inter? No. 6 is Fiorentina. Oh, wait. 6 is Fiorentina. 5 is Inter. 4 Milan. 3 Juventus. 2 Roma. 1 Napoli. That's my way too early prediction. So recap, top 4. Top 4, Napoli, Scudetto. Then you got Roma, Juventus, Milan. That's your top 4. Europe, you got Inter, Fiorentina, and Bologna. And then missing Europe, you got Atalanta, Bologna, and Como. Is that right? I don't know. Way too early. Way too early. Eric says Inter win number 1 with Kivu. I believe when I see it. Napoli, Juve, and Roma. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's that's a difficult one there. We're almost at 2 hours here. How did I do that? How did I talk for 2 hours? I will not pick Napoli to win, so I don't jinx. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. You could have said Milan or something like that, you know, or Juventus. Probably not. All right, so that's my not top 4. Oh, in my relegation, Pisa, Cremonese, and Lecce. EDF. Is that EDF jinx, man? And I was so high on Bologna, but I didn't pick him for Europe. How about that? I think Como doesn't make it either. So anyway, that's my way too early predictions. Ali says Napoli, Milan, Juve, Roma top 4. Then you got Inter, Como. Oh, in Europe, in Europa League, Lazio, Fiorentina, Bologna, and Atalanta. Atalanta 10th. I had him 8th or 9th. So yeah, wow. We are not high on Ivan Juric. It's going to be back to the fun bad Atalanta back in the days. Yeah. I don't see as many goals as the fun bad team. It's just going to be bad fireworks, as Eric says. Yeah, it'll be an interesting team. Interesting season, but I think Napoli are clearly the favorite this year. They got the best midfield 3, 4, 5, 6 players, right? De Bruyne, Anguissa, Lobotka, Gilmore, McTominay, and Folorunshu. I mean, that's 6 quality players. I didn't even mention Cayuste. Who knows if Vergara does? And Hassa. Juric won't make it out. Yeah, this is our way too early. We can all have the right to change it once the Mercato is done. That is the rules here at SerieA Sit Down. But that is our way too early predictions. Bottom 3, Cremonese, Lecce, and Pisa. Yep. And I hate to see it, but man. Anyway, back here. Hopefully the stream worked out well. It's my way of testing all the audio and stuff like that. I'll be back on Shock America doing a podcast this Monday, and then I'll be doing this every Friday. I think I wasn't gonna be able to do this Friday because I'm traveling this weekend, but yeah, I'm in my new digs here. Still working on getting the background set up, but yeah, hopefully the stream worked out well. I'll watch to make sure nothing drops or anything like that. But yeah, I had fun. We're gonna talk more Serie A going forward. Probably a mix of Serie A and Schalke on the streams on Friday nights or whatever night I decide to choose. I'll figure out what my schedule looks like. But man, I had fun tonight. Glad to be back. Glad to see all your faces again, the same old faces again. Love it. Love seeing that. So hope you all have been well this summer. Zweite Liga starts in 1 week. I know. It's unreal. That's you love the second division football, but it starts way too early. I think English football starts very soon. Same thing with all the second division. So everybody else in the chat, cheers. Hope you all have a great night, and we shall be talking soon. Stay real. Enjoy the weather. Hopefully it's safe around you guys, but we'll talk soon. Enjoy the games. Enjoy the practices. Enjoy the scrimmages. I don't know, but have fun. See you guys soon. Ciao.